In our lifetime, we've all encountered moments that made us want to hide and vanish. These instances aren't just fleeting episodes in our lives, they often influence how we perceive ourselves in the world. But what if I told you that some of the greatest philosophers of ancient times, the Stoics, discovered insights that could not only make these embarrassing moments tolerable, but even empowering? Today, we'll delve deep into Stoic wisdom to turn our most cringeworthy experiences into our greatest strengths. This isn't merely about avoiding embarrassment, it's about rewriting our life's narrative to live courageously, genuinely, and with resilience, no matter what challenges we face. So if you're tired of being held back by the fear of others' opinions, stick around. This journey could change how you approach every new day. If you know someone struggling with the weight of embarrassment or who could benefit from a fresh perspective on living authentically, please share this video with them. And if you appreciate what we're doing here, one simple free favor you can do is to hit that subscribe button. Also, don't skip any part of the video, as each section builds on the last to help you unlock a more fearless and fulfilling life. Let's dive in. It's interesting when you consider it. Nobody is born feeling embarrassed. Babies don't blush or shy away. Those reactions develop later as we grow. Society adds layers to us, dictating what is acceptable and what isn't, creating a mental framework of do's and don'ts. But where do these rules come from? They're often just reflections of cultural norms and inherited biases passed down through generations like old forgotten books that no one really knows why we keep. Stoicism offers a fascinating perspective here. It teaches us that external factors, including societal judgments and norms, aren't inherently good or bad. These values are assigned by human perception, which is often flawed and inconsistent. Stoics aim to understand the true nature of things, separating their perceptions from their responses. They remind us that the power to feel embarrassment doesn't come from the event itself or from other people's opinions. It lies in our interpretation of those events and opinions. Think back to the last time you felt embarrassed. Was it because you truly acted against your nature, or was it because you feared being judged based on societal standards? Stoicism encourages us to question these external measures. Is it really worth carrying the burden of embarrassment if it's based on arbitrary standards that don't align with our true selves? By examining the roots of our embarrassment, we begin to see it for what it is. Often an unnecessary weight we carry because we've been taught to value others' opinions over our understanding and virtue. Let's challenge that. Let's learn to view these moments through a Stoic lens, focusing on what truly matters, our values and actions, not the fleeting judgments of others. As we peel away these layers, we not only uncover the roots of our embarrassment, but also learn how to liberate ourselves from it. For the Stoics, being authentic isn't about acting on impulse without thought, but about aligning your actions with reason and virtue. It's about staying true to your core self, not the self that society molds through expectations and norms. Imagine stripping away every should and must that you've accumulated from others over the years. What remains? You'll find your core principles, your true self, unswayed by the ebb and flow of popular opinion. This is the core of Stoic authenticity, finding and staying true to your rational, virtuous self. But how do we bring this into everyday situations, especially those filled with potential embarrassment? Imagine you're at a social event and laugh louder than anyone else at a joke, or you share an unpopular opinion. The Stoic response isn't to shrink in embarrassment, but to stand confidently in your truth. As long as your actions don't harm others and are guided by your true values and beliefs, there's no real reason for shame. This perfectly aligns with the Stoic belief that the only things worth valuing are those within our control, our virtues and judgments. Moreover, this journey toward authenticity is a continuous process of introspection and self-correction. It's about being mindful of the forces that influence us and actively choosing which influences to embrace and which to reject. This doesn't mean disregarding others' feelings, but rather placing moral integrity above social approval. The Stoic path reminds us that each person has their own set of virtues and flaws, and comparing ourselves to others is not only unproductive but also misleading. By focusing on our journey toward authenticity, we come to understand that external approval isn't a valid measure of our worth. Instead, our worth is determined by how closely our actions align with our rational and moral values. The Stoics, in their wisdom, viewed forgiveness not just as a moral obligation to others, but as a critical aspect of self-care and personal growth. This includes forgiving those who have wronged us, but more importantly, forgiving ourselves. Embarrassing moments can often lead to self-criticism. How many times have you replayed a mistake in your mind, each time feeling the sting of shame as if it just happened? Here, Stoic philosophy becomes a guiding light, teaching us that mistakes are a natural and inevitable part of being human. What matters is not the mistake itself, but what we learn from it and how we move forward. Self-forgiveness is crucial because without it, there's no space for growth. Holding on to past embarrassments chains us to that moment in time. The Stoics remind us that we cannot change what has already happened. All we have is the present and the opportunity it brings to shape a better future. By forgiving ourselves, we release the energy that was once consumed by self-blame, allowing it to be redirected toward constructive self-improvement. The process of self-forgiveness also involves a rational assessment of our actions, which is another cornerstone of Stoic practice. It prompts us to consider, were our actions within our control? Were they aligned with our values? If not, recognizing these misalignments helps us plan for more virtuous actions in the future. This is growth in its most authentic form, acknowledging our imperfections and consciously working to overcome them. Furthermore, embracing growth through Stoicism means realizing that each day brings new challenges and opportunities to practice virtues like courage, wisdom, and moderation. Every embarrassing moment, every misstep is a chance to test our dedication to these virtues. It's an opportunity to practice resilience, to rise again with a clearer sense of self and a renewed focus on who we strive to become. In embracing forgiveness and growth, we also learn to extend this understanding to others, recognizing that everyone is on their path, making their own mistakes, and learning their lessons. This fosters a sense of compassion and connection, enriching our lives and the lives of those around us. In Stoicism, we find a powerful ally for navigating life's unpredictable currents. Stoics view every challenge and every change as essential parts of our journey, crucial for shaping our character and honing our virtues. When embarrassment strikes, it often happens during moments of change or challenge when we're pushed outside our comfort zones and subjected to the scrutiny of others. But what if we reframed these moments as opportunities instead of threats? What if, instead of retreating in the face of challenges, we approach them with curiosity and a readiness to learn? This mindset is central to Stoicism, where every challenge is seen as an opportunity to practice virtues like courage, temperance, and wisdom. By embracing change and challenges, we are essentially engaging in the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice involves imagining potential difficulties and setbacks and preparing ourselves mentally to face them. It's not about being pessimistic, but about building resilience. By contemplating the obstacles we might encounter, we reduce the shock and intensity when they occur. One such difficulty that can be softened through this practice is embarrassment. Imagine the sense of freedom that comes when you've already confronted your fears in your mind. The real-life situation becomes less intimidating, and you're more prepared to handle it calmly and with grace. This mental rehearsal primes you to respond with integrity and confidence, minimizing the impact of embarrassment and enhancing your ability to navigate through it. Additionally, embracing change and challenges pushes us to step out of rigid patterns of behavior. It forces us to grow, evolve, and adapt. In moments of embarrassment, instead of withdrawing into self-doubt, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? Every uncomfortable moment is rich with insights about our values, fears, and limits, insights we can use to shape a more resilient and adaptable self. This approach not only lessens the pain of embarrassing experiences, but also transforms them into stepping stones toward greater personal strength and understanding. Each challenge we overcome strengthens our confidence and trust in our ability to handle whatever life brings. When we fully own our story, we realize that every experience, every mistake, and every embarrassing moment has contributed to the person we are today. This understanding frees us from the weight of past regrets and the fear of future judgment. It allows us to live in the present where we can have true influence over our lives. Stoicism teaches that our power lies not in changing external events or opinions, but in shifting how we perceive and react to them. By owning your story, you take control of your life's narrative, rather than letting others define you by your past embarrassments. You can reframe these moments as pivotal opportunities for growth. This isn't about rewriting history to make it more pleasant, but about recognizing how each experience has shaped your character and values. When someone brings up a past mistake, you can acknowledge it openly, and then shift the conversation to how it taught you resilience, wisdom, or compassion. Owning your story also involves a profound level of self-acceptance, which is incredibly liberating. It means no longer hiding from parts of your past that might cause embarrassment. Stoicism doesn't just tolerate imperfection, it embraces it as essential to human existence. Just as a Stoic finds peace in accepting what they cannot change, you can find peace in accepting your full story. This acceptance doesn't make you complacent. Instead, it empowers you to live more authentically, aligning your actions with your true self. This attitude also encourages us to lead by example. When we own our stories without shame, we inspire others to do the same, fostering an environment where authenticity and openness are valued over superficial perfection. It's a space where people can feel secure enough to express themselves fully, free from the fear of embarrassment or judgment. So let's continue to own our stories with confidence and pride, acknowledging that every part of our past, even the embarrassing moments, has a role and purpose in shaping our narrative. By embracing this ownership, we embody the Stoic ideal of living not under the control of external events or opinions, but as the architects of our internal peace and self-respect. These mental prisons are the unseen barriers we create within ourselves, barriers composed of fear, self-doubt, and, more often than not, the opinions of others. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom doesn't come from external circumstances, but from mastering our inner world. It's about understanding that the only chains that can truly hold us back are those we forge in our minds. Let's discuss these mental prisons. They're frequently built from the bricks of societal expectations, other people's judgments, and our self-criticism. We might spend endless hours worrying about what others think of us, dreading their disapproval as though it were a life sentence. Yet the Stoics remind us that these fears are illusions, figments of our imagination rather than reality. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most esteemed philosophers, wrote that we suffer more in our imaginations than in actual life, a truth that perfectly captures the prison of embarrassment and shame. When we're trapped in these mental cages, we limit ourselves in countless ways. We avoid taking risks, speaking up, or being our true selves because we fear how others might perceive us.
The Stoics challenge us to recognize these fears for what they are: mere opinions, not facts. Epictetus, another renowned Stoic philosopher, taught that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. If we can shift our interpretation, we can transform our experience. Breaking free from these mental prisons requires this exact shift in perspective. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our response to any situation. Rather than fearing embarrassment, we can see it as a chance for growth. Instead of worrying about others' opinions, we can focus on living in alignment with our values and principles. This is the heart of Stoic freedom, living on our terms, guided by our inner compass instead of being tossed by the winds of external approval. This liberation also means embracing life's impermanence. Stoicism teaches us that everything external, our possessions, reputation, even relationships, is temporary. When we tie our happiness to these fleeting things, we imprison ourselves. But when we realize that true peace and freedom come from within, we begin to tear down those walls. We understand that regardless of what happens outside us, we possess the power to maintain our tranquility and integrity. Breaking free from mental prisons is not a one-time achievement. It's an ongoing practice. It demands constant self-reflection and a commitment to living authentically. Each time we choose to act from a place of inner strength rather than fear, we chip away at those walls. And with every piece that falls away, we move closer to the life of freedom and fulfillment that Stoicism promises. As we conclude our discussion on overcoming embarrassment through Stoicism, let's hold onto a powerful truth. You have the power to live your life on your terms. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose how you respond to life's challenges, including those awkward, embarrassing moments that once seemed like insurmountable obstacles. Stoicism doesn't just present a philosophical perspective. It gives us practical tools that enable us to distance ourselves from external pressures and concentrate on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This sense of autonomy is truly freeing. When we live life on our terms, guided by Stoic principles, we aren't tossed around by every bit of criticism or praise. Instead, we stay grounded, anchored in our values and virtues. Living according to your terms means understanding that your worth is not dependent on the opinions of others, but on your integrity and your ability to stay true to your principles, despite the ups and downs of life. It's about pursuing what truly matters to you, regardless of whether or not it aligns with society's expectations. This might mean walking lesser-known paths, voicing unpopular opinions, or embracing the quirks that make you unique. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches us that life's beauty and its challenges are two sides of the same coin. Embracing this duality helps us to both cherish the highs and navigate the lows with calmness and balance. Every challenge, every awkward moment, is a test and an opportunity to practice virtues such as courage, resilience, and temperance. Seen through this lens, life becomes a sequence of moments to not only endure but to actively shape in line with your vision and values. Let's also remember that living life on your terms is an ongoing journey. It requires consistent practice, reflection, and a willingness to learn and evolve. This approach is not about achieving perfection, but about striving for personal excellence and inner peace. It's about building a life where each decision reflects your deepest values and aspirations. Let this be a reminder that you are the author of your life story. You hold the power to reshape your relationship with embarrassment, turning it into a source of strength. By applying Stoic wisdom, you can move through life with confidence and grace, making choices that resonate with your true self. Thank you for joining us today on Everyday Stoic Lessons. Remember, each day is a new chapter in your life story. Write it boldly and authentically. Be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on the screen for more insights on living a Stoic life. Your journey matters, and we're honored to be part of it. Until next time, keep embracing your path with courage and wisdom.